My therapist said, Crabnought is real and he will hurt you. I really should stop going there and embrace insanity. Ah yes, the Crabnought, otherwise known as DEFILER. A monstrous demon engine on 4 legs with 2 additional ones sprinkled with bits and pieces that cannot be defined. I was heavily inspired by Adrian Shire or Cold Snap Minis and thought I grabbed myself the first Redemptor style dread that's not fast enough to run and smash it onto the platform of a soulgrinder. Why the soulgrinder? I might need this one in the future. Once everything was cut out of the amazing simple spruce, I started with the Redemptor's chassis. I used the front side as a template to cut out a similar sized piece of plastic to cover up the inside of the dread. Because I want this engine to look like it is not very happy about its current state, and to achieve this I damaged the sarcophagus with my clippers. And since you could otherwise look now into the inside of this unholy machine, the plastic card now blocks the view. And when the right amount of damage was dealt, I only cut away the most rubbish looking bits with my knife and went on with the rest of the Dreadnought's chassis, where I basically repeated the process. I put a small piece of plastic into the visual slit and went on with gluing both damaged pieces together. The next step was to remove the Imperial Eagle from his, well, chest piece, mouthpiece, frontal armor. I guess frontal armor sounds about right. By the way, I intentionally didn't remove the one on the sarcophagus itself, so it looks like it's an actual Imperial one who got dominated into submission by the demon that possesses this soon-to-be abomination. The next step was to cut away parts of the frontal armor, roughly at the same spot where I damaged the sarcophagus itself, again using my clippers and brute force, cleaning it with a knife when everything is done. And while you see me doing this, I would love to take the time and thank my amazing patrons and channel members for their continued support. And of course, you, for watching me, a random dude from a town that does not exist, building some plastic miniatures. But we let that rest for a while and go on with the platform of the DEFILER and a little bit of planning. I roughly had an idea at this point, but to visualize it is always a good method. A longer arm just looks cooler in my opinion. The next step should have been one of the earlier ones, but I am extremely good at planning ahead, so I didn't do it. I rather cut away the head of a Flesh Eater's Ghoul's trophy and tried to shove it into the sarcophagus by force. I glued it into place and went on with a big bat's teeth. As any righteous tooth fairy, I used my clippers and removed both upper and lower gums and teeth, since these parts are meant to be together anyway. Luckily they fitted into the absolutely measured out gap, so I only had to glue them onto it. I repeated the entire process for the lower, well, jaw-like armor, and when that was done I thought I filled a huge gap with a huge tube. And once I got my head out of the gutter, I again was being lucky and had the perfect matching part on hand right away. Soon I will be able to sculpt cables like this out of green stuff. And when it found its place, it was time to work on one of its arms, the left one to be exact. As this ball joint was way bigger than the Dreadnought's one, I had to remove a little bit material until it fit. I very carefully cut in a circle here. Keep in mind that this produces a lot of stress on the blade. And for its right arm, I thought I'm going to be lazy for now and just use a Mauler Fiend's Plasma Pew Pew. I think these steady arms really help to give the miniature a sense of direction, as an aimed weapon always intends where the user is looking at, and the lowered or backheld one lays the focus on other things. Speaking of other things, I post the Dreadnought's chassis now onto the Krabby Krab walkies, And when that was done, I went on with a piece of ceiling. You may have heard that we had a burst pipe recently, and to deal with that, I helped the construction people to deconstruct and in return have some of the goodies for our nerdy hobby. They loved it, by the way, and one of them actually collected Silvernet. I mean, what are the odds? But to come back to the show here, I used some Octarine bits and cut them apart, also sending them flat in Mach 3. I glued them to the base to have some scenery and once again cut apart a little bit of plastic card just to create some warp metal that stuck somewhere in the soon-to-be sand. To create that, I just warped them with my strength 5 hands and cut them as randomly as possible. And since I have some seconds here to say something more, there is a Discord server link in the video description that leads you to a very dark place, which is called the Chaos Cavern Spire. I added some glass deco stones to the base, and after that I added a 4-legged abomination to the base. And as the Defiler touches the base at only 3 points, I used a little bit of super glue and green stuff to ensure that they won't come apart anytime soon, as this creates a really strong bond. And when that was done, it is time to give the very long arm its pose, and to achieve that, as it is only glued, I used this helping soldering hands because I'm lazy and I don't want to hold it at the same place for about 5 minutes. I mean, I could make myself a coffee in that time, so I have the energy to finish this monstrosity on one day, which I haven't. The next day I rolled up some green stuff, and I formed and sculpted something like corrupted flesh. After all, its shell looked like a demon engine, and some random flashy bits sticking out here and there is an absolute must in my opinion. Another important piece is the frontal armor with the teeth. I sculpted the gum there a little more so that the transition of metal and flesh is a little bit smoother. And then I refocused the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing here. The most important part, so it does not only look like a flashy bit but actual gums, is to recreate the recesses between the teeth, and to achieve that I used a lot of violence and a silicone sculpting tool. When that was done, I went on with these plastic rods. I wanted to create my own pistons that hold the sarcophagus in place, or to support it a little bit better, and to achieve that I shoved them into each other, placed them somewhere somehow realistic looking, and secured them with the help of a little more green stuff and super glue. And when that was done, I went on with a Mauler Fiend's mechanical tentacles, or however they are called. I mean, I could look that up, but that would just bring me out of the script writing run, so let's just best forget that. I cut it a little shorter and flattened the soon-to-be anchor on the backside as well. After some gentle bending, I secured it with green stuff and super glue and sculpted some more flashy bits. And when that was done, I went on with the next arm. I wanted to match the first one that is lashing out, which is very important for a creature with that many extremities in my opinion, otherwise it would just look wild and weird. Not that this isn't wild and weird anyway, but I digress. The dreads still look too much like Imperium, so to chaosify him a little more, completely ignoring what I said earlier in this video, I create my own trim, which is pretty easy to achieve. A little bit of thin plastic card, a ruler and a sharp knife. I had to remove the bolts and place the trim on the exact same spot you and everybody else would expect Chaos trim. For the arrows that are as well a common sight among the Dark God lovers, I just cut out triangles. Some worked, some not, but I pretend that I only cut out these ones you see here. Everything is a lie and Zinj is always right. I changed the exhaust pipes of the Dread with the ones that are in the kit of the Soulgrinder. And when that was done, I carefully added more and more details like chains, tubes, pipes, skulls and everything you would associate with chaos. Things that hang loose somewhere, make no sense, but just overstimulate your senses when you look at it. And when that was done, it is time for destruction. I took out a cordless screwdriver because there's no place among the stars where I would drill 100 holes by hand, changing the size of it a couple of times while doing so. And when it was destroyed enough, I brushed away all the drill residues and cleaned some of the drilled holes with my hobby knife, since some had very fizzy edges which were unpleasant to touch and look at. And when that was done, it was time to add a custom corruption in the form of some Agrellan earth. I get asked a lot why especially Agrellan earth, and the answer is that this is the only texture paint that actually sticks on the surface of the raw plastic and forms cracks. Mordant earth just blocks everything for me, and other brands like Armament or AK Interactive just straight fall off the miniature. And with that said, I call the miniature done. And here we have it. The monstrosity that was once upon a time a dreadnought and now forced into the ranks of the Dark Gods. I am a little bit sad because the painting section of this bigature is lost. I have no idea why, but I somehow deleted it before I had at least one copy of it, or it wasn't even saved to begin with. But fear not, this weekend the Night Destroyer, or however this one is pronounced, is coming out, and I'm pretty sure I know somebody who is going to build a Chaos version of it. And I am very torn if I should get the new Defiler. It is absolutely a stunning model, but I have no idea what to do with it as it's already overflowing with details, and just as a parts donor would be extremely disrespectful. But on the other hand, that's exactly what I do. And it would also mean someone might not get it in the first wave, as it will undeniably be sold out in 3 minutes. But I guess I have a couple of days to think about that, and we are going to see each other in the next one!